all things being equal, that was a very even game until the ref took control.
Rich Owen said, I thought the Wire played well in patches, but still had our inevitable wobble. But that's safety more or less confirmed now. Let's get this season over with and look forward to next season, where there needs to be huge improvements if we're going to achieve anything. Thought Dufty played well, and the atmosphere at the HJ was quality.
It's been a rare thing this season. Neil Ormston, well, thank goodness this season's now finally over.
He does realise there's 4 games to go.
Yeah. Not mathematically safe yet, Neil. A typical unenjoyable 2022 style experience. Having failed to find a pub in Aarhus, Denmark, that was showing the match in a fit of desperation to see the game, I FaceTimed my missus and got her to stick the phone in front of the TV. The terrible picture was only matched by the terrible pictures. We were 12-0 up when I got connected, and to be honest, I didn't need to be able to see the screen, as the manner of shipping 18 points before half-time lives in my head already. After feeling like I've seen it so many times this year. Credit where it's due, though, we dug ourselves out of this hole, and the only emotion at the end was relief, which of course quickly turned to optimism. 2023, I've got a feeling it's going to be our year.
Great stuff, Neil. Well, shall we start with what was mentioned in 3 of the 3 non-Wire fan reviews, which was the officiating. What did you make of the calls? What did you make of the way it was refereed?
You don't like to comment on it and want to make out like they persuaded the game, because Toulouse give him reasons to give penalties. Sometimes he's going to give them, sometimes he's not. In this game, he just seems to give more than usual. But like I say, Toulouse have to be in the position to make him think it's a penalty. He's not just going to pluck him out of anywhere, is he?
Yeah, I didn't think any of the penalties were spurious calls. So I certainly think they didn't come out of nowhere. I think, like you say, there were reasons to give the decisions that were given. And I honestly, I saw the Twitter meltdown about the refereeing, and I was sat there thinking, am I watching the same game as everyone else? Yes, the penalties have picked up in the second half for Toulouse, but I thought any sort of genuine 50-50s were a bit split, and I thought the calls were fair. I mean, look at Norman in particular. He definitely lost the plot.
Absolutely.
Not just the incident that got put on report, but he'd given away 2 penalties. He knocked on, didn't he? And then he gave away 2 penalties through frustration immediately off the back of knocking on. And then came the other contrary behaviour that led to his grade F charge. The tribunal tonight has given him an 8 games ban and a £500 fine for Corey Norman's hand round the backside of Ollie Holmes. I didn't think we got a great view of it on the replays on the television, so I don't know how
I've seen a better video of it today on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's a expensive game of finger bum tig, that, isn't it?
I mean, it's his season done. It's his time in Toulouse probably done. It's maybe his career done. He gets on the wrong side of things and throws a strop. So we'll maybe see if he retires again in a strop. But that was part of it. Then there was a number of other. I mean, there was the penalty just before half time was a bad high shot by Harrison Hansen. That wasn't a good one, and I think that was the start of their discipline going astray. They came out in the second half and weren't at it discipline wise. I
almost think it's a fitness thing. I noticed it in when we played them last week. As soon as Rovers started getting a bit on the front foot, there was just constant penalty after penalty and little niggly things that, if you're winning the game, doesn't happen.
Yeah, I can understand the frustration a bit with the Brereton yellow card, because it did look like he barely touched him. But first of all, it wasn't Chris Kendall that made that call. I don't think it was the video ref, weren't it? I think was it Ben Thaler? And second of all, he did touch him at least twice before Ratchford got the ball. Was it Ratchford who got the ball? So you can see why it was given. he has pulled at him. He hasn't. It's not a massive tug, but it's certainly played a part in him not being able to score the try. And so I kind of think I can understand why it was given. What I would say, right, is if the decisions had have gone the funnier way, i.e. the way that meant Wire lost, then I don't think there would have been the same refs faulting from neutrals.
No.
So, for example, the first Palacio try, yeah, I think if that was for Wire rather than against them, people would be sat there saying, yeah, he stripped it, but then it hit his arm again after he'd stripped it, so isn't that a knock-on? So shouldn't it be a penalty but not a try? And if it had been the other way around with Brereton, and say that was Ben Curry pulling on Corey Norman or something, everyone would be saying, Simbin, get him off. Because we all think it's funnier that Warrington are in this fucking mess because they're the richest club in the league. They spend the most money. They've got the richest owners. It's funny.
That's it. Yeah, it's funny.
It's funny, and we all have a soft spot for Toulouse because we know that there's the spirit of how they want to play the game is right. And actually, they had that comeback, didn't they? After a really good opening period by Wire, good first try that they scored. And it did look a bit like what we always see from Warrington in terms of that simple try for Norman and that Palacio double. But the difference is, to where it's gone wrong for Warrington in other games, is it's gone wrong in the last 20 minutes, hasn't it, in other games, against teams that clearly have got some sort of match on them fitness-wise, and then when they get on that run, can see it through to the end. Toulouse almost made that change in momentum too early, if anything. And then, like you say, didn't have the discipline and fitness to see it out. That's my take on it anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it is mainly... I think fitness determines how disciplined you are. I've seen it with Rovers teams over the years. If we're not very fit, we're giving penalties away, getting cards. If you're the worst team in the league, it's going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah.
Do you know one decision we haven't talked about yet? Because it wasn't in Wires. It wasn't really. It was by a Toulouse player, basically. Ollie Ashall-Bot's got a grade B charge for a trip. One match penalty notice announced about 2 hours after I put him into my fantasy team. So brilliant. Used up all my subs, all my transfers as well. But that was very early on in the game, doesn't it? It definitely looked to have stopped a try, and most people watching thought that's a trip.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why it wasn't picked up on the field more, really.
There was only Steve McNamara who was trying to come up with some weird half-arsed explanation about why it wasn't a trip in the half-time comments. But if that had been Dufty, who by the way was outstanding, I thought he made a difference with his try assists and stuff like that, then would we have been so keen to let that go as neutrals?
Probably not. It's the same reason you're saying it'd be funny if Warrington lost.
But clearly that was a mistake by the match official. So if we're calling him out for getting things wrong, I think, that would be a mistake more so than either of the Simbinins that came together for Toulouse in my eyes. But same. If
you've got the screen up, why isn't James Child, whoever it was, picking that up as well? If you can pick the other two up.
Yeah, I don't know how that works because play didn't stop, did it? So I suppose no one laid down injured or anything, so time wasn't called off. So they wouldn't have had the chance to see if it should be a card or not, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like there's three of them out there. Could have seen that he was close to the touch judge and the referee. And this isn't. Look, I'm not calling the referee. I'm just saying let's be balanced with our criticism. I think the more criticism should fall on Toulouse again. Another week where they threw a game away where they had a lead, like they did against you guys last week. In a game they should have won.
They did a Warrington to Warrington, basically, didn't they? Collapsed in the second half, and they should have beaten us, and they didn't. They had a good chance to beat Warrington, and again they didn't. So they were their own worst enemy, I think.
I know, and that was made even worse on Sunday when Wigan didn't turn up. But we'll get to that in a bit. A few injuries out of this one for Warrington. Ratchford got a head knock, didn't he? Wrench and Nicholson picked up injuries as well in the game, so they're all expected to at least miss Warrington's next match, but probably not needing for them to worry anymore now that they're on 16 points. Anything else on that game? Anything else you wanted to mention before we move along?
No. It's just a shame throughout the relegation battle, isn't it, really? But
let's move on to a game you probably don't want to talk about, but you're going to have to. Game over on Friday night at Hull Kingston Rovers. It was Hull KR 20, Leeds 28. Leeds having been 18-14 up at half-time, they managed to make it stick. 8,028 was the crowd. Chris Kendall was...
Jack Smith. You've mixed them up.
Jack Smith was the referee on this one, weren't he? I've mixed them up, haven't I? See, it's easy to make mistakes. I'll need to remember that. Jack Smith was the referee. Is that right? Have I got that? Yeah, I've got that right.
Yeah, it was Jack Smith.
Anyway, in terms of the stats, Leeds made 187 fewer metres, but made 2 more clean breaks. They made an extra error, but had a better team tackle success rate. Rovers falling below 90% in actually a week where the overall round average was below 90% across all 6 games. It was the lowest round tackling average. Success rate average of the year so far. I think the heat had something to do with that.
Yeah.
to be honest, certainly every team on Sunday fell below 90% when it was games played in the afternoon in the hottest weather. And this game, this might not surprise you, because it was a feature massively in this game. 2 Tony Smith inspired sides as well that had the most dummy half runs of any so far this year, 50, with Hull KR making a couple more than Leeds, 26-24. What about the individuals?
Yep, so the winning Leeds Rhinos, Muzzy Mustafa went for 152 metres, Ash Hanley with 160 metres, Brad Dwyer with 1 try assist, 5 tackle busts and 143 metres with 2 clean breaks. And Mikolaj Ledski went 1 try assist, 41 tackles and 105 metres. And for the valiant but losing Hull KR side, Ryan Hall with 1 try and 165 metres, Ethan Ryan with 165 metres, Matty Staunton with 41 tackles and 144 metres, and Will Mayer with 41 tackles and 15 marker tackles.
Always in our shadow said, boo forward, the referee's a wanker, and for the hard of hearing a full array of hand signals, a class act from the boys from the east, and they were winning at this point. Lytton, good first half effort, but carrying that lot too much for him.
Funny when you put your review in before your game, isn't it? Dr. Bob Phillips, never in doubt, grand final assured.
Esther said, I thought Rovers would win this game, but glad they didn't. They made too many mistakes when they just needed to control the game. KR had a lack of players to calm things down. Jez Lytton was really good, making all the Rovers tries.
Leighton Rhino, another amazing win despite injuries and the ridiculous corruption-based bans. Muzzy and Dwyer were fantastic, but Gannon deserved man of the match. Hard to believe he is so young, and when he puts on a stone of weight, he'll be unstoppable. I suspect the top 4 teams are getting nervous, and rightly so. Best away atmosphere of the season at the ground. Credit to the KR. The food and drink at Craven Street is brilliant. A real event.
Craven Street, I've not been to your ground since that new initiative has been set in motion. What do you make of it? What's your take on it yourself?
I'm going to be a bit negative here. I don't think it's all everyone cracks it up to be, really. It's nicer than most grounds because like you're inside the ground and you're seeing the players warming up while having a few drinks and some nice food. The food's nicer than most stadiums, but everything's very expensive there. It's not a cheap place to go. Like, I had some nachos with some pulled pork on because I was rushing after work to the game. That was like £7-8 or something like that. But it's money into the club, so it's positive on that.
So it's kind of like event pricing, but for something that's there every week.
And from a bit of inside knowledge I've found that it's because KR take 25% off all the vendors from whatever they make.
Yeah. So
they're putting 25% on probably what the normal prices are.
Right. So it's things to think about, but
it is worth it though because it's packed every week. Like you're fighting through people to get to the stand.
And it's good, like, our fan zone at Wigan is in our training stadium next door,